Hey everybody, it's Gypsy and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. So this video is not a gardening video, okay? This one is about spirituality, and when I say spirituality, I do not mean religion. This is a spiritual experience I had the other day. So if this is not your cup of tea, I suggest you stop the video now. If for any reason you think having spiritual experiences that are not specific to your religion, I would turn the video off if I were you. I'm just warning you, this is not about any specific religion. So it's not going to be like I met Jesus or, any other spiritual figure. So, disclaimer, this is my own personal experience. I am not telling this story to try to get you to believe me or not. Whether you do or not is up to you. I'm just sharing it just out of, interest. And it is about death. So those of you who cannot handle that topic, I'm giving you that warning, okay? So, it's no big deal, in my opinion, and probably in many others, but for some, they're very sensitive about this topic, and I just want to put that out there before I start telling my story, because, I don't want anybody getting upset unnecessarily, okay? So, continuing on. This happened Thursday night, and we're sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden, when I get a spiritual vision, it kind of blocks out what I'm looking at that moment. It's like, okay, I was in the living room, sitting there. I can't remember if I was crocheting or I was watching television. I was doing one of those two things, and all of a sudden it was gone. I'm still sitting there, but I don't see that anymore. What I am seeing is I'm outside the house in the front yard, but I'm up in the sky and I'm floating up and away from the house. So, as many of you know, my son died. My older son. My younger son is still with us. My older son died on Mother's Day 2014. And after he crossed over, he came and told me, well, one, that he was fine. And, he started to tell me a little bit about what it's like in the afterlife. And back in those days, he would only tell me with words. So the other night, he kind of took me by surprise. I was sitting there just, doing my thing. Next thing I know, I don't believe that I personally was doing this. It was a vision, okay? It's not like my spirit was out there or I asked projected. I believe it was a vision. But I am outside the house and I'm floating up in the sky away from the house, okay? Now, here's the part I don't know how to explain. It was the emotion that I was experiencing. So my son said he was showing me emotionally what it feels like when you die, okay? Now, this lasted like a split second. It was almost like I didn't catch it, but I did because it was strong and it was different. I think that my son didn't let it last too long, because he did not want me to think that the event was actually happening now. It's not time yet. I don't know when it's coming. None of us do. Most of us don't, whatever. But he just wanted to give me a quick, this is what the emotion you have. Okay, because I think that part of, leaving your body and floating away, I think we all kind of see it that way, but we don't know what emotion we're having. And I guess one of my concerns has always been, how am I going to feel about what my loved ones are feeling, especially my son and daughter-in-law, but, especially my son. So I guess it was kind of, it's like this emotion that you feel makes it easier. So you've heard of detachment. Now, most people do not understand what detachment truly is, okay? Detachment does not mean you do not care. Detachment does not mean you're a cold bitch. Detachment just means you can accept what's going on in the moment and deal with it without immersing your whole being in it, without immersing your whole life in it, okay? Like say, all right, somebody you love very much has a problem, is going through something. You can be there for that person as much as you deem is appropriate for you. And you could be there, but yet you can go without obsessing about it, and you can go on with your life. Where, let's say in my earlier life, I couldn't do that. If somebody was upset or whatever, it consumed me. I was obsessed with it. It took over my life. So being detached is, okay, I care about you, I'm here for you, but you do set boundaries, which is hard for most of us. But you kind of have this feeling like, okay, I am, but I also have my life. I have my family, my loved ones I need to take care of too, and your responsibilities, and you can still do that without being obsessed. So I want to say the feeling I was having, and saying I was having is hard because it was so quick. So, I mean, it was a split second, but I felt the feeling really strong. I was like, whoa, and it was like detachment, but it was very, very strong. As I'm floating away from the house and what I was leaving behind, I felt detached, but I felt like almost like it wasn't real, although I know that it is. Now, you hear people say they call it the Matrix here, and it's not real, it's just a play, all the world's a stage. All that is true. However, I hate when they say it's not real, because it is real. When you're going through it, when you're alive, it is very real, and it has a definite purpose. So if we come here and do this for a definite reason, a definite purpose, more than just one, then it is real. And while you're incarnated, it's real. But, wow, this is so hard to explain. There isn't really a word for what I was feeling, what I was experiencing. I knew that was my body. I knew what I was leaving behind in this life, my loved ones, what I had created for, myself. I knew I was leaving it behind, but it was almost like, okay, I did that, and that's over. It's time for me to go back. It's time for me to move on. And it was like, I don't know. It was so weird. I almost felt different only in the fact that that's a hard thing for me to do while in this life. To detach so much, I have that feeling. And you can ask my son. He'll tell you she can't do it. It's like he and my daughter-in-law they're going to do something adventurous that I'm worried about. And he goes, yeah, Ma, you keep worrying, because the more you worry, the more protected we are from getting hurt. Okay, so it's like, let's take that, my maternal instinct. While I am leaving in this vision I had, I knew my loved ones were still here. I knew my son was still here. And yes, there is concern about, what everybody would have to go through, but it was much like I cared, but I knew I had to leave. This was my time to go, and that they would all be okay. Everybody would be okay. It's almost like, okay, I went through this life, And it was definitely real. But it's over with, and now that I'm leaving, it doesn't feel real anymore. You know, it's like extreme detachment. And I don't mean being cold or not caring. I just can't explain this. And I don't know, maybe if any of you out there had a near-death experience, I mean a real one, if you can help me explain this feeling, because I would assume that's what you felt. This was not a near-death experience. It was more my son showing me this vision and giving me the feeling of what it's like as you're leaving. Okay? It's like he took that emotion and put it on me so I knew what it felt like. And it was so hard. I mean, there are so many things that happen spiritually that we don't have words for, and so it makes it really hard to explain. All I could say is extreme detachment, but without being cold. It was like, oh, okay. I looked back at the house. I remember, as I'm floating away, I'm looking at the house and this. And I did not astral project. It was a vision. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's over now. And I guess part of the thing is I know all these people that I have been with in this life were in the same, what we call soul family, and I will be seeing them momentarily because, when you have eternity, it's momentarily. While you're here, it's not, it doesn't feel like it because we created the concept of time. So I don't know. I wish I could explain this better, but I would love if any of you have had either this vision along with the emotion, or if you've had a near-death experience or anything. Now, I've astral projected a lot, and I never ever have had that feeling. This vision was the only time. Okay, and my son let me know that this is what it's like. This is what you're feeling. 'Cause I have heard stories about people not being able to leave because of their loved ones. And I've heard this one psychic show, he says, don't look back, don't look back. Remember not to look back. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But after what my son showed me, I'm not worried about it anymore. I think in situations, because when you're doing your pre-life planning, you pick more than one exit point, in other words, death. And when you reach any of them, a higher version, your higher self, your more spiritual, knowledgeable part of yourself can say, I don't think it's time yet. I think I want to stay and do this or finish this or because of this, whatever the reason, and you end up not taking that. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But what I do know is I'm not so worried about like my maternal instinct getting in the way or anything like that. I mean, I think if it happened 25, 30 years from now, I wouldn't have to worry about that. Right now, like if I were to die in my 60s, I think it might bother me more. My aunt who died suddenly in her 60s, she's telling me no. Yeah, I was in the hallway standing next to my cousins when she died. And we could see her in the room. And I just thought of that. And she says, no, she did not feel that she had to stay. Like, her maternal instinct didn't get in the way. Anyways, I don't know how else to explain this. The emotion was very bizarre. Not cold. Just, okay, it's over. I'm going back to being the true me, if that makes sense. So, I guess I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.